Yeah, I didn't talk for a good 5 minutes. Okay, yeah, I can hear and see now. Okay, I'm just gonna start all over, whatever. Okay, so just starting all over. Alright, so, if you guys have been tuned in for the last, like, 2 to 3 episodes of us just going live, we really have been, focusing on these third party, lesser known, secondary, or specialty reporting agencies that collect, compile, and supply information about us consumers to other companies, whether that be our creditors, our current creditors, our future creditors, every time we are filling out an application, just they have their hands in so many aspects of our lives. And what I don't like personally and what triggered me personally is witnessing how many companies that TransUnion has purchased within the last, I'll say, like 2 years. And what I mean by that is, like, at first, like a few years ago, I've always had suspicions that, like, well, I'll say this: I've always known that the credit bureaus, being TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, I've always known that they were in bed with these lesser known companies. Like, I feel like that has always been like most people understood that, but I didn't know the extent in which that they were involved with these companies, but specifically what sort of triggered this focus on these lesser known companies recently was witnessing how many companies that TransUnion has been purchasing, mainly within the last year. At first they would try to do it, like, in a sneaky way. Like, they'll merge with a company or buy out a company completely, and they'll put it under, like, a DBA so that most people won't realize that that company is owned by TransUnion. And, because once we know that TransUnion owns the company, then, of course, we'll be more inclined to be curious about it, request our reports, our consumer reports that the company has, and also dispute, right? So to avoid that, for a long time, these companies were just under other names, like lesser known names, and again, most people would not even blink twice at it if they saw it. But TransUnion and Experian, but specifically TransUnion, they have dang near been creating a monopoly when it comes to these companies. It's actually astounding. It's quite astounding how many of these lesser known companies that is actually owned by TransUnion. Um and so I've just been witnessing it and just, like, sitting back and watching them acquire certain companies, and honestly, they're boldly doing it now, so it's not even a secret anymore, like, they're not trying to hide it anymore, and that also annoyed me. So I'm like, "Yeah, no, we need to talk about this more, and we need to emphasize how important they are and how much of a role that they play." Because the average consumer doesn't realize that your credit reports are like a byproduct of these reports that we'll talk about today. Like, all of the information that was legally ruled to not be allowed on our credit reports anymore, they're being supplied by other companies in which creditors, when we are applying for credit, they are looking over those reports as well to determine our eligibility, to determine if we'll get approved for the credit limit increase or the credit card or the home or the utility, the utility. So it's just like, we need to focus on these companies more, for sure. We need to focus on these companies more. You can't hear me? Oh, you can. Alright. We need to focus on these companies more because, like, I just don't like the fact that they're able to just exist in the background and just collect and supply all this information on us. I just think that's insane. Alright, so that's what we'll talk about today. Again, if you were tuned in for the past lives, we went over pretty much, like, the full list, and before we begin, just to make sure that everyone's caught up, I will do, like, a real quick, when I say quick, I mean quick, like a quick rundown of the companies, but because we're not focusing on all of them today, we're actually only gonna focus a few, the ones that really, really, have something to do with credit, okay? Hold on, I'm just trying to move it to the screen. Alright, let me see. All right, let me know when you guys can see the screen that I'm sharing. I know I might have to make it bigger. And again, we literally are going to quickly go over this just so everybody is caught up. I also compiled like a document so that you guys can screenshot. Because I know last time when we were talking about it, I was sort of just like calling them out. Um, and I was not able to show it like this. So I did create a document so that you guys can see it. Okay. All right. Can you guys see that? Put a one in the chat. Also like the video if you guys can see it. Okay. I know I'm really late. I'm really sleepy, but I was like, I did promise him that I would come live. So I gotta come live. Like, is it backwards to y'all? Can y'all read that? I can't tell because it's I don't know if it's mirrored to me. Okay, yeah, I can see it. Okay, perfect. All right. Like the video. All right, so real quick, we're gonna go down this list. And then we're going to really hyper focus on a few. And I'm going to tell you guys exactly like, how to what you need to do about it, right? Like what you need to do about it. But first, I'm gonna go over a full rundown of all the companies just so that you're aware of it. All of these companies won't apply to everyone, but I will specify like, okay, these are the companies that collects this information and this pertains to you. All right, let me spit out my gum. I know I do have a mic in. I mean, I am speaking on the mic, so I know it's like real crazy. I got you. Um, all right, so yeah, let me just get started. You guys said that you can hear, you can see. Right. It's small but not backwards. Go to YouTube if it's too small on TikTok or Instagram. Yeah, y'all gonna have to go to YouTube if it's too small, okay? Alright, so let's start. Alright, so the first set of companies that we're gonna go over today are to do with background checks, and specifically when it comes to employment screening. So, anytime you are applying for a job and they tell you like, "Hey, you have a um, we need to do a background check, right? Like, we need to do a background check to ensure that, your history checks out and that you are hireable, right? So when that happens, when an employee tells you that they're doing a background check, these are the companies in which they use in order to, look at your background. And I don't know if this is already clear or not, but I wanna state the obvious, which is all the companies that we're gonna go over today, we're going over them because all of these companies are regulated under the FCRA. Those are the same that's the same set of laws that regulate the credit bureaus. So what that means for you as a consumer is you have the right to request a free report from all of these companies. They cannot charge you, and you get a copy of your report, your consumer report that they have on you. So all the information that they have in their file on your name, your social, whatever, for free once a year, okay? In addition to having the right to obtain a free copy of your report, you also have the right to dispute. And that'll be important later. But first I wanna go over the companies, and then I will go over, like, what I feel as though, you should obtain these reports and what you should be looking for in terms of disputing and also how to dispute them, okay? So I'm going to try my best to do all of this in under an hour. So I'm not gonna really be looking at comments. I'm just gonna try to go through it real quick, okay? All right, so these first sets of companies, they are for background checks, employment screenings to be specific. So the companies that, if you are in the job market, if you have failed a background check ever from a job, from an employer, then you absolutely need to make sure that you are pulling these reports. Why? Because you wanna see what they have on you. Again, all of this is free. It doesn't cost you a thing. It is always, always a great idea to know for sure what these companies have on you and what they're reporting on you, because another right that we have as consumers is we have the right to dispute the report, but also, we have the right to challenge any misinformation, any outdated information, or any incomplete information. You will be surprised, um, with how much outdated information is usually in these files because consumers are not typically challenging these reports. They're not aware that they can challenge these reports or even aware that they can obtain these reports. Most of the information that these companies be having are, like, super old, like outdated per the FCRA means, over 10 years ago, okay? So anything that happened over 10 years ago, it should no longer have a place on any of these reports. So if you did have an instance or, whatever is in your background, you did have something that prevented you from getting a job now, or in the past, then you need to make sure that you are disputing the information that's on these reports. And again, we'll go over, like, specifically the things that I would recommend to dispute, to challenge after I go through the list. So just screenshot this list. Again, these are, primarily to do with, like, the companies that use these reports. So when you apply for a job, when you apply for some apartments, when you apply for, or when you seek to get a annual salary increase or something like that, your company, your employer will typically pull your employment background reports, and it'll tell them, what's on all of these reports. They'll have your employment history, so all the places that you've ever worked, that you've ever had a history, of receiving a paycheck from, even contractor work will be on these reports. You'll also have salary records. That's an important one because a lot of times when the reason why either they'll offer you a specific amount when you are starting a company is based on these reports. If they don't see that you've made anything similar in the past, then a lot of times companies won't offer you the top dollar offer, like what you probably would have deserved had you had, a similar salary record, right? I personally disputed all of my salary records on these reports because number one, they were not right down to the dollar anyway, so that's a legal grounds for challenging them anyway, but also because when I was in the, workforce, you are not going to, judge me or prevent me from obtaining what you know that I deserve, what I rightfully deserve based on what another company did or did not do, or what's most important, did or did not report. Because a lot of records that I had in some of these reports were, starting salaries. Like, they'll have the salary that I started at a company with, but they never upgraded. I mean, they never updated it as, I started to get raises and increases in my pay and even overtime and stuff like that. So that just made me look as though I was still at that starting salary years into that employer, and that is almost always a red flag to, uh, um, future employers because they're gonna look at it like, "Okay, well, your last company did not give you a raise. You must not have been a great worker." You know what I'm saying? They surmise bits and pieces of information about you based on these reports, which is why you may not think it's important off back, or maybe you did get the job and you may think like, I don't really have anything in my background that I need to worry about. Never committed a crime in my life. I don't have anything in my background that would outright prevent me from working with a company. However, when I pulled these reports, I was surprised by the information that they had, right? Or the information that they were missing, right? Which all comes together and paints a specific picture about you that an employee is using as law and as Bible in terms of your character, and they use it like I said, either offer you something or prevent you from moving up in a workforce, okay? It'll also hold professional licenses, so any certification that you've obtained, any school that you have attended, whether you completed it or not, um they have some credit history, but, like, these reports are not really for credit history. Obviously, like, your credit reports from the Big 3 house your financial credit history. These reports are not necessarily collecting credit information, but they did have what I do notice on some of these reports are if you had, like, for example, if you had an employee card. So, if you had an employee card and you were using it and whatever the case might be, I have seen those on these reports. So that's why I put some credit history, but not necessarily all of your credit history. But again, your criminal background will be on these reports. So again, even if you don't think that you have anything to worry about, still pull it, okay? It is free. It is free. Who uses these companies? So primarily employers and staffing agents, so those temp staff agents, most employers most employers of certain, like, bigger companies will use these reports. So when you are filling out your job application, they are running your name through these reports to take a look to get a wider picture of your background, of your character, and basing their decision off of what's in these reports, okay? So, again, screenshot this list really quick as we're gonna move on. These are the companies that you need to just have on your radar. Even if you are not going to, individually go to all of these websites to request your report, have them on your radar and have them available in the case that you may need it in the future or a friend, family member, whatever may need it, okay? Um, so it's gonna be accurate background, ADP screening, checker, info, first advantage, hire right, and then pre-employ, okay? Pre-employ. So these are the main contenders when it comes to background employment screening reports, okay? So moving right along and sorry, actually this is the full list. I was like, "Wait, where's the work number?" I thought I was tripping. Let me make sure I get the full list in the view. Make it a little bit smaller. Well, no, because I already said it was too small. Wait, Imma make it smaller. I know I just made it way too big. Alright, now screenshot that before I move on. Imma give y'all 10 seconds to screenshot that, and then we'll go to the next report. Alright, so the next section, I hope you guys got that, but the next section is going to be tenant screening. Now, the tenant screening is super important because now in 2025, it is rare, and when I say rare, I'm assuming this number, so this number is not factual, okay? But in 2025, I wanna say that at least 90% of leasing agents or, even private owners and landlords will pull these reports. The tenant screening reports are they are like the most important, section of these specialty reports because they are used so often, like you will be you will be you will be pressed to find a company that really does not use these reports. Number 1, they're super cheap, right? Um, and 2, our credit reports, they don't supply any information about our rental background. Like, unless you've gotten outright evicted, they're not going to show that on your credit report. And even when you do get evicted, most of that will never see the light of day on your credit report. Especially because judgments and all of that was ruled off of credit reports in like 2012, right? So these reports was really they've been like the anchor of these specialty reports and why they started gaining so much popularity. And sort of like it really was the reason why they blew up, honestly. But so please, please, please get these reports, especially if you are currently renting, have rented in the past, currently trying to obtain a home loan, a mortgage loan. Um, this is important. So, tenant screening, these are the companies that gather the information from your landlords, previous landlords, property managers, and what they collect is they collect rental history. I'm talking all of the addresses that you've ever been associated with, that you've ever, paid rent with, that you've ever been on a lease with, um, how long you've stayed at that place. They have any eviction records, obviously, so if you were fully if the process fully went through and you were evicted, then it is going to be on these reports. But that's not it, because a lot of times people will think that, "I did not get evicted, right? Therefore, I should not have an issue with getting a new apartment or getting a new place to stay." But what you don't realize is these reports, they don't only collect your eviction records, right? Like, even if it does not go all the way to the eviction, even if you, had a past due balance and, you ended up, bringing your account forward or bringing your rent current and not getting evicted, it is still in these reports. Every single time you was late paying your rent, it's going to be in these reports. Um Also, what's interesting about these reports and why they're so important and why we should not ignore them is because what they do is they do something similar to LexisNexis, and we'll talk about them later, but they'll literally assign a renter score to you. So, the differences between all of these specialty reports and, say, the Big 3, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, the Big 3 provides us a credit report, a credit score. We all understand that we have 3 different credit scores and all of that, right? These companies, you typically only collect information and pass it on to the lenders and creditors that request it, right? And what differentiated them from the Big 3 is they do not provide a score, a consumer score of any kind. But recently they started providing a score. They started including a score in their reports, in which obviously makes it harder or can make it harder for someone to be able to rent and whatever if they have records in these reports. So some of these companies will have what's called a rental or tenant risk score. And basically what that means is based on your past, how likely would you be to either be late on your rent or to get evicted. In addition to collecting all of your rental payments, they collect situations. So like I'm talking situations if you had noise complaints at your apartment complex. That's going to be on these reports so that all of your future creditor or lenders, all of your future landlords will be able to see, like, oh, this person was maybe a problem tenant. Like they have a history of receiving all of these noise complaints. We see that they had an incident at the pool one time, and we see that we had to tow their car because maybe they were parking in visitor or all of their visitors are always parking in residential parking. Yes, they hold all of those type of records, right? So, again, they literally are painting a picture about you as a tenant and filling in all the blanks that our credit reports don't provide and giving and being available to the lenders. So how it works is, let's say you apply for an apartment tomorrow. Your landlord or leasing agent, they're going to pull your credit score. We all know that, we all understand that, okay, the company states, "Hey, you need to have a 620 in order to be eligible to rent an apartment." You have a let's just say you got a 680, so you overqualify for credit-wise for the apartment. Cool, you passed that test. In addition to pulling your credit report, they're also going to pull 1, 2, or 3 or how many ever as they want of these reports fill all the blanks that's on our credit reports. Again, our rental history, our tenant history in no way is on your credit report. The only thing they're gonna see for your credit report is all of your creditors and basically what your debt and financial situation looks like. That's all they're going to see. They're not going to understand in any capacity how you were or are as a tenant at all. Therefore, what they do to fill in the blanks is they'll pull these reports. Um, Again, landlords, big or small, will pull these reports. Property management companies, apartment complexes, housing authorities, all of the above, okay? This list is right here. Wait, let me make sure y'all can so screenshot that. How do you pull them? So the websites that I'm giving you guys and the phone numbers, that's how you pull them. So some companies will allow you to pull these reports from their websites, which is why I included the websites. And then they'll also and then some companies will require you to call. So I've included the website and the phone number of every single company that we're referring to, and you just have to go to the website to see. I pull my which one was it? I pulled my CIC and CoreLogic report yesterday. Both of those reports is available immediately and online. So which one was that? I believe CoreLogic is the one who had a portal, so they'll have an online portal. CoreLogic is owned by TransUnion. I forgot to update this list and put that. In addition to that, TransUnion also owns TransUnion Rental Screening Smart Move. Remember at the beginning when I was telling you guys that TransUnion is buying up all these companies out the wazoo. Like, it's actually insane to witness in real time how many companies are owned by TransUnion. If I had time today, I would have updated the list, I will the next time we talk about this, I'll literally point out how many of these companies are owned by the big 3, because the big 3 are literally monopolizing the market, and they're buying all of these companies. They're buying all of these companies. So it's actually insane, but whatever. Um, what was I gonna say? Oh, yeah, yeah. So go to the website or go to or call the number. CIC allowed me to download my report. But they don't have a portal. CoreLogic did have a portal. Experian Rent Bureau, for some reason, they didn't let me pull it, but I believe that it's because I answered the, like, security questions wrong. But pull those reports. Pull these reports. Um, do I have a copy? It was on my laptop. Let's see if it's saved to this computer. If we have time, I'll show you guys my report. So, there is a chance that when you pull the reports, especially, like, tenant history reports, and you don't have any instances in the past, then they'll just put that let me see if I have it. They'll just put that they don't have any information on you. I think I do have it. Yep, I do. Let me, airdrop it to my computer. Imma airdrop it real quick and show you guys so you can know what to expect. Come on. So this is CIC and then that's okay, hold on. Alright, so this is my CIC report, and as you can see, let me make sure y'all can see. Yeah, as you can see, on mine, it said there were no housing court records found during a search of our database. So CIC specifically oh, yeah, CIC specifically, they tend to only focus on the records that were in court. So even if the eviction didn't go through, but let's say your landlord filed it and gave you a chance to, get current and pay your rent, then those instances will be on there. And then but then CoreLogic this is which one was this? Oh, no, this check systems. So ignore what I just said, that was for banking reports. So we'll get into that in a second. Let me get back to the document, but I was trying to go through and pull where is the document? I was trying to go through yesterday and try to pull as many really what I was trying to see is, like, how many of these companies would allow you to, like, get your report immediately and online. And only some of them was, like, calling, I just I ain't feel like that. Alright, please move the screen to show the company link info. Um, you gotta let me know what you're talking about, 'cause from my view, I can see the full thing. Can you guys see the full document? Can you see the links and the phone numbers? Rent to stay for up to 10 years. Y'all can't see the full thing? See, I thought I had it figured out today, y'all. Y'all know how we were struggling last time. Oh, yeah, I can. Okay. It's small writing. Uh, I can see if I can zoom in a little bit more. I think when I do that, that's too big, right? Is that too big? So I'm showing I can only show, like, just a section at a time. I'm not gonna be able to show, like, the full document at a time because the screen size, the the ratio. So it's not small, but I'll scroll down. So, but these are all the tenant screening companies on one right here. I took a screenshot and blew it up. Yeah, it's too big now, you can't see the full name. Alright, look, I'm just gonna go back to how it was, and that's a good idea. I didn't get your name. What you said, just screenshot it and zoom in, y'all. Okay? Okay. I'm just gonna keep it like this. No, you don't need to file expunge it. These are records. So whatever you do court-wise, that's a separate thing, right? Like, these are third-party companies that collect the information, compile them on a report, and send them to your creditors or whoever your tenant or whoever I mean, your landlords or whoever is looking at them, okay? So that's a whole different process, but we're gonna talk about how to dispute them. I wanted to go through the list really quick just to catch everyone up before we hyper focus on a few. So the bank screening is one we're gonna focus on shortly. So I'm gonna scroll past that. Uh, we're gonna really hyper focus on that. But let's talk about personal property really, really quick. Um, Personal property. So these are going to be companies that my screen just black. Hold on. I don't know what the heck just happened. Okay, we're back. I don't know what the heck just happened. All right, we good. All right, so personal property, insurance company. So these are gonna be the companies that affects your car insurance, your home insurance, your life insurance, your health insurance, not your health insurance on this one, but, like, your car, your home, renter's insurance, any insurance that you get, these companies are going to affect that, and what they do is they compile information like any accidents that you have been involved in, whether you was at fault or the passenger. Home damage, so anytime you have filed reports or insurance claims, I got the word right stuck right here, and it won't come up. But anyways, when you file insurance claims on your home, on your, renter's insurance and all of that, of course, those will be logged. Any losses that your insurance company has taken, we all know that. Like, that's obvious. What's important about these companies, and why I wanted to really point them out, was specifically car insurance. So I have a personal, um, testimony, so to say, with these companies and when it comes to cleaning my Clue Auto report specifically, how it literally slashed my car insurance in half. Slashed my car insurance in half simply by cleaning that report. Had no idea that they existed, had no idea that, they were potentially reporting anything on me that could be detrimental. I, at that time, had no tickets, had no accidents that were my fault, had, like, no major tickets, like, that I was aware of, literally. But I could not figure out why my car insurance was so freaking high. Ended up being tipped by a lady on the phone, literally just helping me out. At that time, she was and then she clued me into LexisNexis Clue Auto report. Told me to pull it, and pretty much that's it. And so when I pulled the report, I was surprised by the information that they had in there, and I understood immediately why my insurance was so high. Number 1, I was involved in an accident as a passenger, like, in somebody else's car, but I was a passenger. I was involved in the accident. My name was on, like, the police report or whatever the case may be, and because of that, that accident was reporting on my, Clue Auto report, basically like it was my fault. Like, they literally was listing it as though I was in an accident and it was my fault. Another thing that caused my insurance to skyrocket, and what peed me off was, and I was not aware that they can do this, and I'm going to explain this wrong, and I wish that I could pull up this document that I found, but I don't have it with me, but there is some way. It's a name for it, but it's something where they monitor by GPS either our phones or our car, like, it literally says by either our phones or our car, and they are able to monitor, like, our speed. And I had no idea that companies do that. I had no idea that we gave them permission to do that. Like, I'm still looking into that, so I don't wanna really get ahead of that, but it is a name for it. If somebody in the comments know what it's called, please let us know. But it is something, I believe, start with a T, but it's something where they monitor, like, average speed. Um they also had all of my, like, red light tickets, like, those camera tickets where they send you a letter at your house and they got you on camera going through a red light, maybe it was, like, yellow turning red. They had a bunch of those that I had, did, tolls, unpaid tolls and rent, and I'm talking like I was probably, like, out of town renting cars at that point, and they had all those. Like, it was so much information in these reports. So when I cleaned that report, I, asked for a reevaluation with my insurance company, and literally my insurance was cut by 47%, so I just say half. So literally my car insurance was cut in half. It went from over $300 to, like, 167 or something like that. That was life changing for me at that moment. So, and also a lot of other, like, credit cousins can testify to cleaning your Clue Auto report specifically, how beneficial that is for your insurance, for your car insurance. So please, please, please pull these reports, even if you're like me, you just you're good, you don't have no tickets, you don't have accidents, you like, and you over 25, so you like, "Why? There's no and my credit good." So I was like, "Why is my car insurance so high?" Could not figured it out immediately when I downloaded the report, though. So pull your, reports, but in addition to your car, these reports also affect your, renter's insurance and your, all your insurance policies, okay? So this is a short list. So these are the companies when it comes to personal property, insurance. So these are going to be A Plus Property, Viveris, which y'all see who own y'all I don't even gotta say, you see who own Verisk, FCRA. Tell me why is are the regulators owning these companies? But that's a whole nother I'm not gonna go on that rant. I'm really not gonna go on that rant because it does not make sense. Anyways, Clue Auto Report, which is owned by LexisNexis, that's really the main one, y'all. Clue Auto Report is the main one. So if you don't pull any of these, please pull your Clue Auto Report. And then we have driver's history and then insurance, information exchange. Insurance information exchange. And by the way, um, just a quick tip on this because 'cause we're not really gonna go into detail about this today. One of the things that was, when I was disputing that, the ground that I was standing on when it came to disputing certain records, these reports, was the fact that they were reporting things like red light tickets and, things like traffic or not traffic violations, like parking violations, all of that. The problem with that is they are not getting this information directly from the company. Therefore, they don't have any proof that it was me who was driving that car or it was you as a consumer who was driving that car, and you guys know what I always say, the burden of proof is on them as the reporter of the information to prove that it is you. Therefore, in order for them to 100% state that this information is validated, is verified, they would have to be able to, either obtain the information from the original source or have some concrete proof. When it comes to records where they're the third party and they're getting information just out of public database, they don't have proof of that. So any information that they have regarding any parking tickets, uh uh, tolls, um, what else? Uh, red light tickets, dispute that. When I say dispute, all we're doing is challenging the validity of the report, right? So dispute sounds a little whatever. It's what you're doing when you dispute is you're challenging the validity of the report and the validity of the reporter, okay? So just FYI with that. And they were not able to prove it. That's why they removed it from our report. All right, so medical. This is a quick list, but when it comes to these medical consumer scroll up. When it comes to these medical consumer reporting companies, they don't collect, like, your full medical history, right? Like, we understand that we have HIPAA, which protects us consumers well, protects our health information from being shared and released to just any and everybody. Well, that's cool and all, but what you may not realize as a consumer is not all of our health insurance is considered private. Not all of our health insurance is considered private, which is why, medical collections and things of that nature can be on our credit report, but in addition to that, there are specific aspects of our medical history that are legally able to be on these reports, but that affect things like our health insurance or our life insurance policies. I went into a whole rant about this last live, so I'm not gonna do that today, but I just need everybody to it's only 3 reports. I need everybody to pull these reports. If you are a millennial, if you're a millennial, pull your parents' report. Have your parents pull their report. It is very important because obviously when it comes to getting disability, when it comes to getting health insurance, when it comes to getting life insurance, they are dependent on these reports, y'all. Their credit reports don't matter. These reports make or break them. These reports make or break if they'll be approved for a life insurance policy, a health insurance policy, and how much they have to pay. And medical records back in the day was not it just was not up to the standard that they should have been. There was a lot of carelessness when it came to how they recorded their medical information, and because of that, it has caused so many of our parents in the generation before us to suffer in terms of how much they have to pay for life insurance or health insurance, or even if they will be approved. A lot of companies and policies will deny them outright based on these reports that we'll discuss. I believe it's 2, maybe it's 3. It's supposed to be, yeah, 2. Alright, so these reports is super important. What was I about to say? So MIB and Millie Man. So, Millie Man is a collection of all of your prescriptions. Any prescription that you have ever picked up from any pharmacy, it's recorded in these, reports. Why is it recorded? Well, because the prescription that you have has become your medical records in the sense of insurance companies. So, like, for example, if the doctor prescribed you, a medication for high blood pressure, then it would be against HIPAA for your doctor to send the information to these creditors to say, "Hey, LaShonda has high blood pressure," right? That would be against the law. What they do is they'll go around it and they'll say, "Well, I can't specifically tell you that LaShonda has high blood pressure because, that's against the law, that's against HIPAA. But what I can do is state that she picked up a prescription for, I don't know, the high blood pressure medicine, so high blood pressure, whatever medicine, right? And because she picked up this prescription, we can surmise from that information that she has this diagnosis, right? Lord forbid. Let me just be careful with my words, even stating that, right? But y'all get what I'm saying. They are basing your medical they are diagnosing you let me I gotta be real careful with my words because these companies are feisty. So they are not diagnosing you, but they are surmising based on your prescription history, potential or possible diagnosis that you can have. I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down, okay? But so because of that, there are so many people that are paying high premiums for insurance policies that is not even accurate. It's not even based on, their medical records or their accurate diagnosis. Because as we know, as I stated last time, there are so often and so many times, especially when it comes to state-funded doctors and low-income insurance, state insurance, where doctors will prescribe you a medication that could be, for example, for high blood pressure, but maybe because you're having perpetual headaches or, like just so many different symptoms that maybe let's try this medication to see if it'll work. And if it does not work, then come back next month or so and we can prescribe you a different medicine. Well, what happens if the next medication that they prescribe you, what happens if that's a medicine that's technically uh listed under cancer or diabetes, right? Like, what happens if that medicine is technically considered a diabetic medication, but you've not been diagnosed with diabetes, however, your symptoms, perhaps lead to that, or your doctor just knows that this medication would help with the symptoms, right? The point is, they don't have to have verifiable proof that you have these diagnoses. All they have to do is match the medications that you had prescribed to you that you picked up. So the medication that you do not pick up, they're not going to be on here because they can't state that perhaps have that diagnosis if you never picked up the medication. It's only going to be the ones that you've picked up. Okay, at any prescription, not worldwide, but like in the United States. They're gonna have a record of that. So, and because of that, you probably or our parents specifically, based on all of the records, and we're in a generation where we went from writing, from physical writing records and transcribing them to the computers, to now digital records, right? So it was a lot easy. It's a lot easier now to have systems in place and stuff like that where, it's a lot easier to notate a patient's journey and health and all of that, and whatever the case, and we have a lot more research on the medication, so it's easier now, but back in the day, it was not, and therefore, a lot the generation before millennials, they're really affected by these reports. I see it so often. My own mom, like, literally I could not get a life insurance policy on my own mother based on these reports, and that was when I really learned about it was Millie Man that really blew my mind because it was just so many medications that she had been prescribed. By the way, this was what this is 2025. When I first, uh, was alarmed by the Millie Man report was I wanna say it was right right post-pandemic, so 20 or 21. um, I could not get my own mother a life insurance policy, and I was, trying to figure out why I happened to pull this report, and I figured out why. It was because it was according to the report, she had so many diagnoses that, honest to God, she never been diagnosed with, like, in real life. And so when we cleaned that report, literally, now she was approved. So please clean those reports. I can go on a full rant about these 2 reports because I honestly just think that they're inhumane. I don't even understand how they're legal, especially when you see all of the information because it's not just your prescription history. They also have anytime you visited a doctor, so they don't have any, again, diagnosis or codes, but they'll have, um, the date of service, right? And then, um like the doctor, right? And what type of doctor it is, right? So again, they're not specifying what you went to the doctor for, what you and the doctor discussed, but based on the type of doctor it is, based on, whatever the case, they're able to say, "Oh, this person likely has so and so because she went to a cancer center," you know? And Imma be done talking about these medical reports 'cause I just ugh, they really burn a hole in me because I don't understand it. Um, alright, so we are gonna talk about this, let me see, I think it's one more section before we really get into what we talking about tonight. Alright, so this is the last section, then we're gonna really hyper focus on the ones that affect your credit, okay? So the last report are referred to as supplementary reports. So these companies, um, they collect I'm trying to figure out the best way to explain these companies, because y'all can see who the first company is, which is LexisNexis, but these companies collect everything, and I'm not even just trying to be, like, funny, but, like, I did not know how to categorize these companies because it's, like, no specific lane that they stand in. Like, they collect everything, okay? Um, I'm talking every single thing that cannot be on your credit report. These companies are like all the other companies in one. Public records. These are the companies that if you file bankruptcy, they are the ones that are telling and supplying that information to the credit bureaus. When you challenge your bankruptcy, for example, with the credit bureaus, these are the companies' reports that the credit bureaus are using to validate and verify that information. Um, your your lenders are pulling these reports. The collection agencies that you owe money to that purchase your credit, they're going to these companies to locate you, to see where you live, to see how much money you have, to see how often you are getting deposits in your bank account so they can see when the best time, the most opportune time to contact you in order for you to pay this debt. Um these companies like everything, like, genuinely, we can do a entire live on just the supplementary reports, which I do think Imma do, next, um, so I'm not gonna spend too much time on that tonight, alright? So, these, uh I put it's 3 companies here, but the reason why I did not put any information for SageStream is because LexisNexis has recently purchased SageStream, okay? So, you don't necessarily need to, buy your Sage Trade report because 'cause it'll come when you request your LexisNexis report. But I don't care if you don't get any reports that I'm talking about tonight, if you don't find you don't find it important to pull any of the reports that we previously talked about. If there is 2 reports that you need to pull, if you are in the credit industry at all, in the sense of you are building credit, you have bad credit, you are trying to improve your credit, these are gonna be the 2 companies that you need to pull. LexisNexis being the number one, like, they are literally the largest data aggregator in the world, LexisNexis. But then also Innovis, which was, used to be known as the, 4th credit bureau, they're also very important because they're really important, especially when it comes to anyone who has a thin credit report, a thin credit profile, or bad credit. Like, anytime you get in any sort of subprime credit, and we'll talk about subprime credit in just a second, but Innovis is going to be your culprit. Any personal information that you can't seem to get removed from the credit bureaus, it's probably because of LexisNexis. LexisNexis knows your entire life. LexisNexis knows more about you than the credit bureaus. They know more about you than any of your creditors combined. They know more about you than you know about yourself. You know, if somebody sign up for the military and they do, the security clearances, did you guys know that those are based on LexisNexis? The information that LexisNexis has on us? That's how that's how much information LexisNexis has. Like, they are quite literally I got in trouble last time I called them, illegal stalkers because 'cause they're so sensitive. But they are they're very They're very detailed in all the information that they report. Not only will they know all of your like, y'all, I pulled my LexisNexis report, number 1, when I first put it, it was over 300 pages, but number 2, I was shocked to see how much information that they had because they had information about my children, the school that my children go to. They had information about my home. If you have ever purchased a home, they'll have information about your home, but let me tell you how specific they are and detailed they are. They have your floor they have your floor plan blueprint to your home. They have what, what, direction your home faces in terms of the sun. They have, what was that? 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 Oh, I can't think of it right now. They had all of, like, your professional licenses, your certifications, all of that. Um, I cannot think of it. They know all of your relatives, child. They know all of your relatives. I'm talking like, if you have ever received mail at anyone's house, it doesn't have to be your house. If you've received mail, if you was at your homegirl house and you got a package sent to your homegirl house, that address is gonna be on there. They are in communication with the post office, with FedEx, with, like, all of the delivery companies, um, yeah, like, I yo, again, we could do a whole live on that, and we will because every time I even try to talk about LexisNexis for a little while, I can't, like, move past it without really driving home how much information that they have. So, I like to just keep them alone, and I can spend a full hour ranting on all the information that they have, okay? So, we gon' leave that for another day because I promise you it's taking everything in me to restrain from just talking about them forever, okay? So, but again, these are super important. Please pull them. Again, we'll talk about them the next time that I'm live, which is probably gonna be the day after tomorrow. So, let's get to why we're here. Let's get to why we're here today. Let's get to why we are here. So, I wanna talk about 2 sections, is that big enough? Alright, I wanna talk about 2 areas of these reports that's super important when it comes to credit, right? Like, we are referring to our credit and all of that. So, two parts, and then we're gonna be done, okay? Alright, so the first part that I wanna talk about, the first section that I wanna talk about are subprime reports. Subprime reports, subprime reports. First of all, why are these reports important? These subprime reporting agencies are super important when it comes to your credit because, again, anytime you are applying for any sort of credit, your lenders are pulling these reports along with your credit report. And oftentimes, these reports are going to be what makes or breaks your application, what makes or breaks your lending terms, and what makes or breaks how much you are approved for. It is so important when it comes to credit limit increases, when it comes to getting a credit card in general, getting a car, any lending, okay? Um, Now, I am specifically talking to the people who if you have ever had a payday loan, if you have ever used a buy now, pay later account like Affirm, Klarna, all of those, if you have ever had taken a cash advance on your credit cards, um, if you have ever had an online installment loan, like Op loans, Rise Credit, Net Credit, Avant, all of those. I'm talking to you right now. So, whenever those things happens, whenever those situations happen, what happens is those things are recorded again in these subprime reports. And what's super important about these subprime reports is most of them don't report on the big three. They don't You won't see these accounts on your credit reports unless, for example, you go default, like it ends up in collections or something like that, right? However, it is in these reports, and your lenders are looking at these reports to determine your eligibility. Those things and these reports are called subprime reports because they specifically collect information that is considered risky by lenders. Is considered risky by lenders. Anything that would increase your risk score or, allow you to be or potentially make you, um, considered high risk when it comes to, like, how your lenders view you, they are going to be in these reports. So, I would go out on a limb and say that every person that has credit extended to them at some point in time will have a record in these reports, right? And not all of it is bad, right? However, there are certain things that I want you guys to be aware of, especially if you are actively like applying for homes and loans and credit cards and all of that. Just be aware of these reports because they absolutely do make a difference. Okay. Um, these accounts don't often show up on the big three, but they are tracked on these separate reports. So whenever you are applying they're used to determine your eligibility. And even if you did pay these loans on time, let's just say you have never defaulted on either of these loans. You took out that payday loan, you took out that buy now pay later account, and you paid as agreed. You paid on time, and it's no issue. It's no worry. It's like what I'm saying. In your mind, there's no issue with it. So why would you be concerned about it? Well, unfortunately, even if you paid it on time, those having those accounts still label you as high risk to lenders. It it just does. Those are the activities that lenders just consider high risk. They consider you to be at more of a risk to, um, either default on your account, get behind on your payments, or something like that, right? Like, there is a high potential that you will not pay them back, right? Whenever how depending on how long these reports are basically, or how recent that they are. So, some lenders will automatically deny you if you have any record of these reports within the last 6 to 12 months, depending on the lender. That's important. Why? Because if you have recently been denied for a credit card, especially like a credit limit increase or a top credit card, and maybe you have the credit score to qualify, but you still was denied, it was likely because of these reports. Why? You probably had one of these type of accounts within the last 6 months, and a lot of Chase a lot of times built into these applications, they will literally automatically deny you if you have any active or open or new records within these reports within the last 6 months. It's important that you guys pull these reports. So let's talk about the companies. Um, First, I wanna highlight Clarity Services, and this company is owned by Experian. This company is owned by Experian, and what they focus on is payday loans, cash advance let me get a drink. I'm getting tired. Alright. What Clarity Services is known for is payday loans, cash advances, rent to own, like furniture and all of that, online installment lenders, and small dollar lending. By the way, any loan that you take out that is under 1,000, is the limit $2,000 now? I'll say 1,000 because I know that for sure. I don't know if they upgraded it, but under $1,000 is always considered a subprime loan in any capacity. Doesn't matter who you get it from. It is considered a subprime loan. Lenders are looking at that like, if you have to borrow $1,000, then there is some issues with your finances, and, you may be tied up financially. Therefore, they don't want to extend you credit because there's a potential that you will not pay them back, right? So, those are calculated in your Clarity Services report. Again, they're owned by Experian. So, a lot of times when companies don't report to the big 3, they're reporting to these companies, and, as you can see, they're owned by the credit bureaus. They're owned by the credit bureaus, but they call themselves Clarity Services and Factor Trust and DataX, but they don't call themselves Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, which is exactly what they are. Exactly what they are, okay? Um, Also, let's say you have a collection for one of these companies on your credit report, right? And let's say you've been challenging that collection and you just cannot get it removed and you are not understanding why the credit bureaus are not budging. They're not sending you any verification or validation or anything, and you just don't understand why. Well, if it is on these reports, they use, they're so annoying, but they use their own reports to validate their other reports, which again, to this day, I don't understand. I do not understand how they're legally allowed to do that, but as of now, they are allowed to do it. So that's why I just wanna just continue to make it very clear who owns these companies because they don't advertise them, as such. Clarity Services is owned by Experian. So if you have any collections on Experian, please pull your Clarity Services report because it's probably on that report. So you would have to challenge their report, and they can't the thing is when you challenge these third-party reports, they can't use the big 3. They can't use so if you challenge Clarity Services, they can't use your Experian report to validate the account. Because why? The big 3 are not furnishers, like, they can never be furnishers, they're always, reporters of the information. They're not furnishers, of the information, therefore, they cannot be the validator of the record. However, on the inverse, these third-party companies, a lot of times, they're considered furnishers, especially when it comes to public records and things of that nature, which is ridiculous, but I digress, okay? So, again, pull these reports. Now By the way, Clarity, I was able to pull immediately. Like, I was able to download it from, I wanna say, their website, if my memory serves me correctly. So, Factor Trust is TransUnion, and they mainly focus on short-term installment loans, so, like, the self loans and all of that. Important. Self Self is no longer considered a subprime lender, simply because of they've expanded their products and all of that, right? The only time that I've seen them affect your risk score when it comes to Factor Trust is when you have a late payment with them. But as you know, self reports to the big 3. So it's not necessarily self, but it's typically going to be, like, other short-term installments. So, I tell you guys all the time, it's not good to get, and let me tell you the ones that I really see. Affirm. I see Affirm on these reports all the time, and Affirm is almost always the reason why people cannot get a high limit credit card. I see it so often that it just hurts me. Like, it literally hurts me because I'm just like, "Oh my goodness," because they'll tell you when you are applying for a firm, they'll say things like, "It's not going to affect your credit report. We're not gonna be on your credit report," and it's just like, and they'll say, like, "TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax." Well, yeah, you're not gonna be on the big 3, but you are reporting to Factor Trust. You are reporting this on the Factor Trust, and what happens, and what kills a lot of people nowadays, in 2020, it started in 2024, where I really start to see it make a difference, even all the way to home ownership. Like, it's making a difference. All of, like, the amount of short-term loans that you guys have with these buy now, pay later accounts, they're killing you guys. They're killing your financial record. If you got 5 different Klarnas, Affirm, and they have other companies. I just always, for some reason, use Klarna and Affirm. If you are constantly getting those, you are building a bad track record financially when it comes to companies ever being able to look at you as a experienced, trusted, low risk lender, unfortunately. When they see that you are financing shoes, well, it's not even necessarily just a shoe, so, like, don't get stuck on that word, but I'm just saying, like, for example, a $300 purchase every 2 weeks. That is killing your financial record. That, like, it's nothing that looks more irresponsible to lenders than a person that is taking out, because these are taking out loans. Like, I understand that from our point of view, it doesn't necessarily seem like we're taking out a loan when "Hey, we'll pay you back in 4 payments." We don't really think about that, right? Like, I'm guilty as well. I've done it as well, especially when I don't feel like paying all at once or something. Like, of course. But what I wanna warn you guys that they're not ever gonna tell you is when you continue to do these, regularly, it looks bad. It looks bad. It looks bad. If you are trying to get a credit limit increase, please do not do them for at least 90 days. Please. Please don't do them because you're never gonna get a good credit limit. Unfortunately, you're never going to get a good credit limit. Um, Simply because you have so many short-term install, and again, if you have them open, another thing that I have seen is too many open at a time. What I have noticed, and this is just anecdotal evidence, so this is not backed up by any verified study. I wanna be clear when I say this. But what I have personally noticed and just studying and following trends of these reports is I noticed that for some reason when it comes to having more than 2 open, it's like when it gets to that third open one, 3rd concurrent open, buy now, pay later account, it starts to affect your risk. It starts to affect your risk. And again, that's just what I've noticed, and I'm not saying that it's across the board. But something that I've noticed. It starts to affect your applications and your risk score, the second that you have more than 2 open, okay? Another thing that I've noticed is if you do not allow time to pass between your loans. So, for example, you pay off one, and then, maybe like a week later, you are opening another. And we all know that when it comes to time, what our credit reports consider time is not day to day, it's always month to month, right? Like, our credit reports refresh once a month. Every 38 days to be exact. So, once a month. So, anything that happens between that 1 month is all grouped into one bucket, and then, the next month is, another bucket. But what I've noticed is when you don't allow any months to pass where you don't have any of these buy now, pay later accounts open, it heavily affects your risk score, especially over time. Especially over time. Now, another thing that I wanna bring to you guys' attention is, you know that our most recent version of our credit score, which is FICO 10T, they are tracking something called trends, right? It's FICO 10T, and that T stands for trends. The trends that they're tracking is not only, like, our spending habits and all of that, but one of the things that they're also bringing in, and by the way, these are going to be the, credit scores that are used in mortgage lending starting this year. But anyways, one of the things that they're also tracking is third these subsidiary companies, basically. Their trends are going to be based on and what they'll how they'll state it, because 'cause they're never gonna outright just say like, "Hey, we're depending this information not only on your credit report, but on factor trust and data X." No, no, no. They're not gonna say that, but what they will say is, based on the credit bureaus and its subsidiaries, you gotta be real careful with, or not careful, just pay attention to the language that they use. They're depending their reports on not only the credit bureaus, but its subsidiaries, which is why I believe, and this is just my own theory and belief, this is why I believe that these credit bureaus are buying so many of these companies recently, especially since FICO 10T has been approved. Um, Find it not odd that TransUnion has purchased at least 10 of these companies within the last year. That's not like they've never done that, right? Um, Again, a whole 'nother subject. I keep getting off track, but our latest FICO score is based on these reports as well, based on your risk scores. When your risk score decreases within these reports, that also affect your credit score going forward. So just so that you are aware, whenever you are, getting these loans, the best the best way to manage them, right? Because I know it's not realistic to say just don't get them. I know, I understand that. What's realistic is whenever you complete one, try to allow a month to go by, at least, before you get another one. Number 2, try to not have more than 2 open at a time, because the second that 3rd one open, I've noticed that it take your risk score takes a huge, shot, right? It's very impacted. Another thing that I've noticed something in my eye. Another thing that I've noticed is, of course, like, whenever you miss a payment, so if they try to draft it from your bank account and you miss the payment, that, of course, affects your risk score. Oh, low level, low limit loans. Guys, as much as you possibly can, as much as you possibly can, stop, using these buy now, pay later accounts for purchases under $500. You guys have known, I've said this routinely for years now. Any loan that's under the amount of $500, it will always, I don't care if you have gotten it from American Express, it don't matter the company. It will always be considered a low-level subprime loan. It always will. Um So, if you are gonna use these accounts, try to only use it for purchases over $500 as much as you can. I understand that there will be times where you can't, but just be hyper aware of the things that you are doing. Try to only use it for purchases over $500, because every time that $300 loan, that $250 loan, uh, every time you take that buy now, pay later account for $250, it makes you look really bad to lenders. It makes you look, um like you are in financial stress to lenders. It just does, okay? If you are seeking a credit limit increase, do not do it for the 90 days leading up to your credit limit increase request. If you are seeking a new credit card, it's always going to be best to have 6 months. 6 months, especially if you're getting, like a major, loan, like a car, a home. 6 months. 6 months. 6 to 12 months is possible, but at the least 6 months. Um, I think that's it in terms of what I wanted to tell you guys, but let me run down the full list again. So we have Data X, they're owned by Equifax. They focus on payday loans, tech cashing, and small dollar installment loans. Small dollar installment loans. So these are the ones that really hyper focus on the small dollar ones, okay? Um, then we have CoreLogic, Teletrack. So CoreLogic really focuses on alternative financial services. So these are gonna be like subprime credit cards and stuff. You guys know where when I always tell you guys, don't ever get more than 2 subprime cards. The reason being is because I've noticed that once you get to that 3rd subprime card, their risk score drops drastically. So don't ever get more than 2 subprime cards, and only use them to build credit, and you need to make sure that you have applied for another traditional credit card, like a regular credit card, within 9 months of getting that card. In no way should a subprime card be the beacon of your credit report. Absolutely not. It is there to be a starter, a stair stepper to get you to the next level. Like, don't rely on that, subprime card. Use it for what it is and then move on. Like, don't marry those cards. And then the last company is going to be Microbuilt, which PRBC. Um, they really focus on alternative credit, rent, payday loans, and payments. Utility payments, y'all. So anytime, ooh, do I have a screenshot? Yo, which credit report was that? Let me see if I got it in my phone. I pulled one report yesterday. I got it in here. Wait, I pulled one of the reports, one of the utility reports yesterday, y'all. They had so I gotta get it. I gotta show you guys. I gotta show you guys. But anyways, let me pull up the full list so you can see it at a glance. So these subprime cards, I mean, these subprime reports, where is it? Alright, so this is the full list of the subprime reports. So it's gonna be Clarity Services, CoreLogic, DataX, Factor Trust, and Microbuilt. Um, I think I pulled Clarity yesterday. I can't remember. I was pulling so many freaking reports yesterday that I literally cannot remember, but I think it was Clarity. Oh, increase. Great question. So somebody asked, "Can those inquiries be removed from our report?" So, yeah, of course, you can challenge increase. Um, the report to really pull when it comes to increase that that the credit bureaus use to validate your increase is gonna be like Innovis. It's gonna be like Innovis. I'm getting real stuffy lately, y'all. Innovis, the one that I showed you guys with the supplementary reports, they house inquiries, okay? Alright, so then the next set of reports and the last set that we're gonna discuss tonight, and then I'll show you guys like a dispute letter that you can use to send, is going to be our banking reports right here. Alright, so I have 3 subprime cards. Should I close all 3? No, 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 don't close all 3 because the record is already there, right? Um, the most recent one that you opened, I will probably let that one go. Obviously pay them off, and then but I would not let it go until after I have gotten the traditional card. Alright, so the last thing we're gonna go over tonight, y'all, is the bank and check screening report. So, obviously, these are going to be the ones, directly tied to our finances, our applications, and all of that. Like, more than any other reports is going to be these ones, right? So, these reports are super important, especially because, like, if you cannot open a bank account, if you yeah, basically, like, if you can't open a bank account, if you just have a bad history with banking reports or banks rather, these reports are going to be affecting you, and they can also prevent you from opening credit cards and, excuse me, preventing companies from, like, approving anything, especially if they see that you have a negative banking record, okay? No bank wants to be associated with you if they feel as though you have either done another bank wrong and all of that, and what they record is any past overdrafts that you have had. Anytime that a bank account has been opened in your name or closed in your name, and for what reason were they closed? Any return checks that really well, return checks, I guess, does affect like direct deposit and stuff like that. But like anytime back in the day, you know how they used to cash checks. Do people still cash checks? But back in the day when they did use to cash checks, it would be heavily monitored. Any history of suspected fraud or abuse, even the ones that, like, wasn't your fault. You know how, like, your bank will text you or email you and say, "Hey, we see suspicious transactions, confirm if this were you or not." So they'll record those as well. And if it was you, they'll state, it doesn't affect you in a negative way if it was not true fraud, like, if you were not suspected of fraud. Um And mainly who uses these reports, who pulls these reports are obviously banks and credit unions, um, retailers or stores, and, mainly banks, like our lenders, right? Like lenders, some payday lenders and all of that, but mainly banks, and that's why they're important. Um, Wait, screenshot this real quick because I wanted to go to a different screen, but this is gonna be the list of them. We have Certegy, check services. Certegy was the one, that would record check cash and checks, again, like how, kinda like back in the day they would cash checks, so they're not as relevant as they once were, but they still do house that information for sure. Uh, and then and mainly why they're important, Certegy, is the your deposit, your deposit record. So if you are employed or even self-employed, they have, like, a history of who's depositing in your account. So they don't have, like, the amounts, like your how much you have in the bank or whatnot, but they will have a record of, ABC Finances has deposited this in her account biweekly, right? Um, and so they'll just have a record of that, right? And really where these companies also come into play that we don't really talk about is if a collection agency is seeking you to pay them back, they're wanting their money, and you constantly calling them and telling them that you don't have any money or whatnot. They'll pull these reports, they'll pull your banking reports to see if you are essentially, like, worth it in terms of to be sued. Like, is it worth it to sue you? What does your bank records have or state that would lead us to believe that you may potentially have some money that you could sue us? Because these accounts can't show your balances. Right, they can't show your balances, but what they can do is show how many open bank accounts that you have, how like, your frequency of deposits that you receive, the overdrafts that you receive, what else? So, yeah, so they'll look at these reports and they'll be like, okay, we see she work here. So, um, she get paid this day. Let's they can also research how much from other reports as we learned today, potentially how much you're making, right, from the employment reports. So they are so what I'm hoping you can see and understand is how they are able to literally paint an entire picture of your life based on these specialty reports and get all the information that they need. They can pull your banking reports to see what bank accounts you have. They can pull your, employment reports, the background check reports to see potentially how much money you make, what positions you hold, your certifications and all of that, and calculate how much potentially that you make based on market value. They could pull your LexisNexis report to find your location. Okay, well, we see that she went through a traffic stop and a toll in Dallas. And we see that she visits this toll or she passes this toll or this red light every single day. So, and we also see that this address she's had a package delivered at. So we can surmise that, like, she lives at this address, right? So then they found out where you stay, they found how much you make, they found where you work. You go to school, they definitely got that. Oh, what else? From LexisNexis, they can find where your children goes to school. So if your children is enrolled in this neighborhood school and they also have an address within that neighborhood, then obviously you stay at that house. So now they found your new address. So now they can contact you. They can, whatever the case may be. Oh, that and then, um, they found your address, but now they can also see the value of your property, how much you pay in rent potentially, or if you own the house, how much your mortgage is, what's the value of your property. If you got some if you got some assets, oh, you are going let me tell you something. One thing about buying a house that they don't tell you, when you buy a house, that's gold to creditors because now they always have something that they can take. Something that they can take in terms of, depending on how much like, if you got a repossession or something, or whatever the case. They know if you done bought a house, oh, you have something, like, you gonna have to liquidate your assets in order to pay them, like, you have something to your name. Um, yeah, so they can paint a whole picture, like, they can paint an entire picture of who we are without ever even pulling our credit reports based on these smaller reports, which is why they're so important. Like, I hope I've made that very clear. These reports are affecting you more than the credit bureaus because Yeah, the credit bureaus, only they only, they only have, like, maybe 15% of information on us. Literally, all they have is your debt, and some debt that we have is not even on our credit reports. Uh, they'll have your credit they'll basically have your creditors and the history with that accounts with those accounts. Your payments, your missed payments, blah, blah, blah. Your collections, and that's it. They don't have anything else. You know, if you have filed bankruptcy in the past, have your public record on there, but that's it. So that's why I always tell you guys that, like, yes, our credit score matters, but it does not matter nearly as much as most people think. Like, it just does not because not only because, obviously our credit profile is more important, but these specialty reports is really the bread and butter of the lender industry now. Like, they really are, and they're doing nothing but getting bigger. Their blueprint and their footprint is doing nothing but expanding. So it's super vital that, like, we are aware of these companies. Pull these freaking reports. They are free. They cannot deny you for pulling these reports, and they have to make it reasonably easy for you to dispute. It's a lot easier, I'll tell you, based on my experience, um, it's a lot easier to dispute or challenge. I said I was gonna quit using dispute, but challenge these reports than it is the big 3. It's a lot easier. Based on my experience, it's a lot easier to challenge these reports. So, I did wanna show you guys. Did we talked about these, right? I think I cut it off. Oh, no, I did not mean to do that. Oh, no, I lost it. Alright, if you're not in Credit Academy, get in Credit Academy. By the way, this is our community. Alright, so I believe I already went over this, but just so we're clear, these banking reports, they track negative checking and, saving history. So whenever you are doing a credit application, right, there is a always, always, always going to be a question where, um, on the credit application, they'll ask you, "Do you have a checking or a savings account?" And they'll give you 3 options. They'll say, "Yes, I have a checking," or "No, I don't have a checking," or they'll say, "Yes, I have a checking and a savings," okay? It's always best for you to choose, that you have a checking and a savings account because it just helps your application in all scenarios. Now, it's not good to lie about it, obviously, right? So, whenever they ask you that, they're going to run it within these systems to see if they can verify that information. So, if you actually don't have a checking and a savings account, then obviously you are not going to be credited for that. Therefore, it doesn't count. The point being, and why I'm mentioning that is because before you do your next credit limit application, make sure that you have a open checking account and a open savings account. Now, what will take you up a few notches is if you have a funded savings account, okay? They're not able to see the amount that's in your bank account, but they are able to see if it's funded or overdrafted or negative. I mean, funded or negative. All it takes for you to have a funded account is for $10 to be there for a billing cycle, so for at least 30 days. I would personally suggest that you put $10 in there and never touch it, like, ever. Like, you should always have a savings account with at least $10 in there, or obviously more, but I'm just saying, at the very minimum, have a savings account and a checking account that has $10 in it. Do not touch that $10, leave it in there. Why? Because every single time you do a credit application, you will be able to select that I have a checking and savings. When that company pulls these reports to verify if you have a checking and savings, they'll see that you have a funded checkings and a funded savings account. There's nothing better when it comes to lenders than a consumer having a funded savings and a funded checkings. Because why? This person is not living paycheck to paycheck, right? This person has a little bit of wiggle room, a little bit of cushion when it comes to their finances. If they have a funded savings account that's been funded for a month, like, if they can see that it has not, overdrafted within the last 12 months, even better. These are all the things that doesn't affect your credit score, but certainly affects your risk score. These are all the things that lower your risk score, makes you look like less of a risk to lenders. Therefore, the lower your risk score is, the more a lender will lend you, the more they're comfortable with you borrowing, right? So, just credit 101, always have a funded checking and savings before you do any application, and it only takes $10. It's not and it won't report until it's been sitting there for 30 days. So that's just a tip. Please open a checking and savings account. It don't matter what institution, it just has to be a nationally recognized account, so it can't be like a Cash App or, um, what's the other one? Chime. You have to have, like, a real bank account. If you can't open a bank account, number 1, check your banking reports, the ones that we just discussed. Well, these ones that's on the list, check systems, early warning systems, Certegy, IntelliCheck, CrossCheck. Clean those, but there are companies that offer second chance bank account. Capital One allows you to open up banking and checking and savings online, and I believe that they allow second chance. So, get a checking and savings account. Have a funded checking and savings account before your next credit limit increase and before your next credit application. Please watch it, it will make a difference, okay? My mic went out? I don't know why would let me see. I don't know what would cause it to go out. Hello? Can you guys hear me? It is blinking red for some odd reason. Oh, it didn't go out? Okay. But it is blinking red, so I'm not sure what's that all about. Don't know where I was at, but these are the companies. These are the companies. So then Imma show you guys how to challenge them. Alright, so I'm just gonna pull up, um, basically like a dispute that you guys can use with any of them. Let me pull it up. Hmm, and by the way, this is the list, and y'all can screenshot that while I am pulling up what I need. Alright, so this is a blanket dispute that can go for any of the, like, reports that we oh, y'all ain't y'all are not looking at what I'm looking at. Hold on, let me put it on the screen. Oh, no. Hold on, let me I need me to make that bigger? If I make it bigger, it's just gonna cut off the top, like, your name, the company's name, you know? So, that's fine. I mean, I'm sure you guys understand that part, so I'll just focus on, like, the letter, okay? Yeah, look can y'all read that? Or is it too small? Alright, what the heck? Grammarly by can y'all see that? Mm, I'm sleeping. Oh, 11. Why is my mouse, like, lagging like that? It looked better before when it was zoomed out? Alright, let me zoom it back out a little bit. Better? Yo, my mouse is lagging. Maybe it's about to go dead. Alright, so this is a letter 1. So this can go for any of the companies that we talking about. So basically, the important part is this. Why is it okay? Alright, I had to make sure y'all was sitting because it's like my computer's like glitching for some reason, but this is what's important about these. Now, the first thing that's important is that you download a copy of your report. Like, so whatever report that you are challenging, download a copy of it. You need to have a copy of it because when it comes to disputing with these third party companies, it is always best to have the report number. Always best to have a report number. So whenever you download it, every report will contain put the report number right here where it says report number, right? Always, please, always try to have your report number. Um, and then depending on like what you are disputing, for example, if you are disputing, let's say you pulled your banking report, your EWS report, your early warning system report, and you are challenging possibly like a past overdraft balance that they're reporting or some bank fraud or something they're reporting. You would list it where it says inaccuracy number 1. So you would just state whatever they have reporting, Chase Bank 2022 that, and then you'll put fraud. Like you would list whatever they have like on your report, right? I'm trying to make up something on top of my head, but just list whatever they have on your report. And you could go down and you can include up to 4 instances or inaccuracies on each letter, right? So there's 4 things that you are more than 4 things that you are disputing on your EWS report. You would use 1 letter and put 4, and then if you have more than 4, you need to put them on a separate letter, put them in a separate envelope, and send them separately, okay? 4 at a time is the max. Now with all of these companies, because they are under the FCRA, and you have the same we have the same rights that we have with the credit bureaus, we also have the same responsibilities. In that sense, what I'm referring to is your verification of your identity and your address, right? So whatever you in the same way how we dispute and challenge the credit bureaus, we have to include that same information in these letters. So include a copy of your ID or some form of a state issue ID, okay? A copy of it, obviously not your original. And then include a copy of some mail that you've received recently, like your utility bills, a bank, the bank statement that has your name, your address. You don't have to give them like details. You just have to show your address and your name. Okay. Include that because what they'll do is they try to find any reason why they don't push your dispute through. And one of the main reasons why they do not do that is because you have not verified your identity and or your residence. Okay. Um, what was I about to say? Oh, in the documentation. So where it says document 1, uh, I typically would recommend putting, like, you would put, like, your state issued ID. And then the document 2, whatever that is, bank statement from the last 30 days. That's what that is for. You print it out and then you put your name. You send it to LexisNexis, you send it to EWS or whatever the case may be. Another thing that you guys need to be aware of is, let's say you have pulled a report and you're only disputing one thing, right? When it comes to this letter, you would then delete. So if you're only disputing one thing, then you need to delete all of this, the rest of them. Okay, don't just leave those on the document. Don't do that. Make sure that however many inaccuracies you are disputing, you are only leaving that amount, okay? So, this first round, this is a classic example of a first round letter, meaning all this letter will do is kick off an investigation. Don't expect, to receive removals, deletions, all of that response to this letter. This is a first round letter, it's literally that. It's literally a blanket first round. That's it. You need to do this because there's a process to disputing, and this is the first step. Do it. They get 30 days to dispute the account. They get days to, fully investigate whatever you are disputing and send you the results. The timing is not regulated. Do not waste your time, nobody's time, uh, being militant when it comes to the timing. There will be times where maybe they take 35 days, there will be times that maybe they take 40 days, and you're going to be tempted to challenge them and say, "Hey, remove all of that, delete it because you've surpassed the time." Since 2021, they are legally able to extend the time because they are still back there from COVID. Like, I'm not kidding. That's the excuse that they're still using, okay? Neither here nor there. Don't worry yourself or stress yourself out about it because I'm telling you right now up front, you're gonna have to manage your expectations when it comes to that. Because no, sis, they not gonna respond in time. Most of them. Some of them, let me not say most of them. Most of them will respond in time, but there are going to be some that won't. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh well, don't trip on it. Just allow them to respond, allow them to complete the investigation. What you need to be doing in the meantime is, why did it do that? I'm sure that's too little. Let me try to get it back to one page. Okay. Oh, alright. So again, what you need to be doing in the meantime while they are, uh, managing your investigation, you need to be filling out your second round. Have your second round already ready. Have your second round already ready. Basically, whenever you fill out your first round, I always tell you guys, just go ahead and fill out your second round. Go ahead and copy the same information that you put on your first round on your second round letter. Have it locked, loaded, enveloped, and ready to go. Um, because again, we're not expecting deletions as a result of that first round. It's just the chances of that happening is slim, though it does happen a lot. Don't expect it. Don't expect it. When we go in expecting it and it don't happen, what happens is we get halfway or midway in the middle of our credit repair journey, and then we just give up because we're frustrated. "Oh, I must be doing something wrong. Oh, I must need to pay this person hundreds of dollars to do what I can do for $3 and some cents." Like, stop doing that. Literally, stop doing that. You don't have to pay anyone to do this for you. You don't have to pay anyone to repair your credit. You can actually do it yourself. You just have to understand. You have to be diligent and you have to understand how to dispute. Okay. So again, first round letter. We're already going to fill this out, and then in addition to that, we're going to fill out our second round. Dang, why is it going so fast? This is a second round follow up letter. So when we fill out our first round, we're going to fill out this round. We're going to make sure that we are putting it in the same order. So if we got uh bank fraud listed as number one. Let me quit saying bank fraud, child, for they clip me and be like, "Oh, she's promoting bank fraud." Y'all know I don't got time. Let me use a different example. Let's say we are disputing, let's say we are disputing overdraft, right? Overdraft 1 and inaccuracy 1, and then maybe there was a, bank closing that we weren't unaware of or whatever the case may be. That's number 2, and we're disputing that. We're gonna put them in the same order. Overdraft, the bank closing, we're putting them in the same order as we did the first round. That's important. That's one of those small things that makes a difference. Um, put 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 right here where it says date of a dispute letter. So whatever day that you put on your first round letter, put that date on this letter. So they are roping they are roping this process. They're roping your round 2 to your round 1. And it's not like they're starting new disputes every single time you send a letter, 'cause that is a mistake that happens that happens often, especially when people are challenging the credit bureaus. They'll be sending all of these letters and not realizing, and they're thinking that they're on their 4th round letter, 5th round letter, not realizing that the credit bureaus are starting entire new investigations and starting an entire new dispute process every time you send a letter. Therefore, you're never advancing in your disputes at all. Like, they're literally still just sending you stall letters or, "Hey, this is validated," and basically they're ignoring you, right? When they don't advance your dispute, it doesn't do you any justice, right? Like, they literally are just ignoring you legally, okay? So you want to make su you wanna make sure. Yes, you have to be patient, write the letters and let the letters do their job. Exactly, exactly. Um, do you can we hire you to do it? Did you not just hear what I just said? Stop paying people to do what you can do. I don't know why y'all like wasting money, like, genuinely. I really just don't understand. How many times you gonna pay people to repair your credit just so you can end up here in 6 months? Stop doing that. It really actually doesn't work. I mean, I don't wanna say that it will do you more justice to just do this yourself so that you can understand how credit works and how this process works, and not only will you appreciate your new score more, your new credit more, but now you understand how not to get there. Stop just trying to throw out money and thinking it's gonna solve all your problems, 'cause it's not. Like, it's really not. It's really not. It's really not. But no, I don't, like, take clients or whatever. Back to what I was saying, though. Oh, yeah, so this is the second round, y'all. And then that's pretty this letter is literally just very intuitive. Like, it's not it's very much like the first one, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing really to this letter. Um, put that the same report number, and yeah, that's really it. This is your second my bad. This is your second round, okay? You got a screenshot of this? Imma go to the next one. Imma give y'all 10 more seconds. We got 2 more letters to go through, and then Imma let y'all go. Imma answer a few questions, and I'll let y'all go. It took me 4 rounds to clean my LexisNexis report, but I've already noticed a difference, and I'm finally getting instant approvals for the first time in my life. I'm telling you, I'm telling you, I noticed a lot of this stuff, even to me, like, when I was, like, going through and downloading all these reports and cleaning, I'm just like, "Oh, this just" it's so annoying 'cause it can seem very tedious, you know? Or maybe I'm just dramatic. Like, sometimes I'm very dramatic, and when it takes, like, 3 steps to do something that I feel as though should be done in 1, I kinda get very impatient and, annoyed, right? So I can understand, like, where y'all be coming from. I never if you know, I never blame you guys for being impatient or impulsive or none of that because I'm all of those things. But what I realize is, like, when we go in managing our expectations, it just changes everything. Like, if you go in already knowing that when you send your round 1 letter, they probably not gonna care about what you're saying, you're probably not gonna get a removal. If you already know that you're not going to be expecting it. So if it does happen, then it's great. It's like, "Oh, I actually got that removed from round 1. Now I only have to dispute or challenge A, B, and C," right? But if you do not get it removed, you're already expecting it. You already have your second round letter prepared and ready to send, so it's just like all you're doing is waiting on them to reply, which brings me to my next point. Your second round letter needs to be sent within 10 business days of receiving their response. Imma repeat that. Your second round letter, so this follow-up letter that we're currently looking at, that we've already prepared when we prepared our first round, it needs to be sent within 10 business days of receiving their response. So when they mail you back and say, "Hey, we received your dispute and we validated and verified all of this information," so it's staying on your consumer report. Your second round letter needs to be in the mail within 10 days. Within 10 days. Within 10 days. Within 10 days. So, again, to highlight another mistake that I'm constantly seeing, you guys wait way too long in between rounds, way too long. Again, what happens is you wait too long, then what you're doing is you're not continuing on your investigation. You're actually restarting back at round 1. So, yeah, in your mind, you're sending a round 2 letter, but baby, that the credit bureau or the consumer reporting agencies are still qualifying that as a round 1. So they're still not taking you serious. You are still not getting a footing. Like, you literally are not gaining any ground. You're still at round 1 because you wait too long. You wait too long. Within 10 days. Within 10 days, okay? Okay, so then this next letter, round 3. This is only for, okay, this letter I can't talk. This letter is for any incomplete information. Now, this letter is so important because there will be a lot of, information in your files, depending on what report you are looking at. So I'll use a personal example of where I believe that most people will use this letter. It's going to probably be LexisNexis. Why? Simply because LexisNexis, as I told you guys, they have so much information on us, right? And a lot of the information is either outdated or incomplete. And because of that, it is needs to be off your credit report. Like, it has to go. It has the FCRA states that we are entitled to an accurate credit report, an up-to-date credit report, and a complete credit report, right? And so a lot of the records that LexisNexis has, bankruptcies is a really big proponent of this, just FYI, the records are typically incomplete. So, meaning that they have not updated it, they have not I'm sorry, let me give you an example before I go into it. What what I notice on LexisNexis reports a lot is they will have I'll use public records for an example for they'll state, a bankruptcy, right? Like, they'll state, "This person filed bankruptcy at this court, da da da, da da da." What they won't do is they will not go back in and update the records. So whenever the bankruptcy was, finished, was dismissed, was completed, they never go back in to update either if you file Chapter 7, like the payment, arrangement, right? Like, whatever the arrangement that you guys made with the court, they won't go in and update that. They won't go in and complete or update repossessions. Like, that's a big thing with them. They'll put when it was repossessed, and they'll put the balance in which you owed at the time of repossession. But what they are really bad at doing is going back in and updating after, for example, if the car lot sells the car and the value is taken, the sell amount of the vehicle is taken from the balance that you owe. They don't update that balance, right? They're notorious for not updating the balance, especially with credit cards and, like, if you have collections and stuff and maybe you've paid or not collections. Do not think I said collections. I meant charge-offs. Charge-offs. Let's say you had a charge-off and, you've set a payment arrangement with the company, you've been paying them, balance has decreased. They're really bad with going back in and updating their records. They will have the initial instance, but they won't update it. Therefore, the record is considered incomplete. Okay. So challenge everything that's incomplete, even bankruptcies. Bankruptcies, I'm telling you guys what they won't have. They usually won't have the judge name. They won't have the courthouse. They won't have the courtroom because they have to have all these for it to be complete. Uh, Go watch the bankruptcy webinar because I don't want to have to get into like grave detail when it comes to that. But a lot of their records are incomplete, guys. And again, Imma do a whole live specifically for LexisNexis because they're in their own ballpark. Um, but yeah, incomplete is so important that you guys have this particular letter because the incomplete ones, in my experience, are the easiest ones to get removed, okay? So any records that are incomplete, remove. And then I should have an outdated one. Oh, so this is a follow-up for the incomplete. Go ahead and screenshot this. So, obviously, if you send the incomplete letter and they do not remove or update, the record, then you send the follow-up. I typically like to include a follow-up letter for every letter, because, again, we go in already expecting that they're not going to do anything on that first, um, notification of them being wrong. We already know that they're not gonna do anything around 1. So, I typically like to include a follow-up in all the letters, okay? But okay, the next letter should be outdated, and it is. Outdated. Yo, again, as you pull these reports, FCR states that anything over 10 years is considered outdated, right? Like, so they can't have any information that's over 10 years old. The credit bureaus won't typically have outdated information because we are usually aware of, like, what's on our credit report. Most people will, in some form or fashion, run in see their credit reports, whether that is from an online credit monitoring or whatever the case may be. Most people will see and know what's on their credit report. So outdated information is not typical when it comes to credit reports anymore. They're caught very easily. On these specialty reports, on these third party reports, oh my goodness, the amount of um why do it have me under gaming? But the amount of outdated information on these freaking reports is astronomical. Like, mo again, when I first pulled my LexisNexis report, it was over 300 pages. When I was finished disputing, it was about, like 168. I'm not even joking, majority of those, like, pages of information was outdated information. It was outdated information that wasn't necessarily some of it wasn't necessarily bad, but it was outdated, and you're not gonna keep any points of information on me if you're not legally able to. Outdated information is insane on these reports because again, most people have never pulled these reports. LexisNexis had oh, LexisNexis had email addresses from when I was in high school, like, my very first email address that I have ever opened in my life. They had that. Um they had, I mean, again, just so much information. I don't wanna keep getting getting caught down the LexisNexis rabbit hole, but they're going to have a lot of outdated information, and you need to challenge that. Another company or report that has a lot of outdated information is usually those banking reports. Y'all better pull those banking reports. They be having a lot of outdated information. They be having a lot of outdated information, even fraud, for example. Not I need to quit using fraud as an example, child, but I'm not, promoting it, but I'm just saying a lot of their records are outdated. I'll just say that. And I don't care right or wrong, you still have rights as a consumer. Like, they can't house that information and do not allow them to, because they are still affecting your even if the information is outdated and your lenders are pulling those reports, they still count that. Like, they still allow that to affect your approval and your terms and all of that. Yeah, you if you guys have just come in, you can go to my YouTube page, Shonda Martin, and then you can watch the entire replay. Also, I like our previous live. If you're in the Credit Academy community, you guys, of course, can watch the replay. Also, all of the letters that I show you guys, plus way more, are always available for Credit Academy members included, like for free. And you'll be able to download it in the files, okay? Just FYI. But so this is the outdated information letter, and then let me go to the next. Oh, so this is the follow-up for the outdated information, and then Imma show you guys another one that I think that everyone should have. So go ahead and screenshot that. I believe so, Queen K. I believe so. Yeah, a lot of it is old stuff. 27 pages of information on my LexisNexis was literally outdated, so you're not lying. I know, like, they like, I'm telling you, that's how they and then get this, LexisNexis makes so much money off that outdated information, like, a part of me be like, "Yeah, you're not gonna continue to allow you to make all this money on me, and you're not even legally able to have this information." Like, it's actually but yeah, no, they're going to if you can count on any disputes, they're gonna have outdated information, mark my words. Mark my words. Alright, okay, so you sent your first round and you sent your second round of any of the sets that we just showed. If after the second round they have still not corrected whatever you are, like, contending against, then now they're officially in jeopardy of being in violation of your FCRA rights, okay? So, this is considered a 3rd round, right? So, this is what you will follow up with if they still are reporting that information, alright? So, screenshot this. It's very clear, like, what you'll put the date of the initial dispute, so the date of round 1 letter, and then the date of your follow-up letter would be the date that you sent your round 2 letter. And then the company in which you are disputing. So, I notified you of the inaccuracies in my LexisNexis file or in my early warning systems foul or whatever company that you are sending this letter to, because these letters can go to any of the companies that we went over today. Um, and then that's it, right? This is the violation. This is just sort of alerting them like, "Hey, I'm just letting you know that you may be in violation of my rights." Ooh, something this piece of hair or something in my eye, and it's just really bothering me. "You may be in violation of my rights. I'm just letting you know," right? So then this next letter, go to the next did my computer freeze? Uh, alright, and then oh, man, that my second for some reason, my second screen froze. Um, alright, so this is the last thing that I wanted to show you guys. Now it's working. So, this is specifically for LexisNexis, um, in order to get your full file disclosure. So, with LexisNexis, because they own so many subsidiaries, like, I'm talking you when I say your LexisNexis report, I'm literally talking about, like, 15 different reports, right? And what happens is LexisNexis, if you just say, "Hey, I'm requesting my LexisNexis report," they'll literally just send you your main report. And the problem with that is it literally does not include the 15 other reports that you also need, like the Clue Auto report and your Sage Stream report and all of that, right? So they've gotten technical, and so you need to get technical. You have to literally request your full file disclosure. Full file disclosure. Every single thing that you have on me, LexisNexis, I want. And the best way that we have found to do that is to send this letter if they give you any issues. So this is just great to have for anyone. So screenshot that. That was small. Let me see if I can make it bigger. Too big. Hold on. Ooh, I am sleepy. Dion, it depends on what you are disputing. So, I'm trying to think of an example. For example, like your banking reports, if you did overdraft or whatever the case may be, they'll send a copy of, like, bank statements from your bank. If they have a lot of times they don't actually have this information because remember, these are third party. They're not it's not your bank that you're disputing. These are third party reporters. So, a lot of times, they actually won't have the records to prove it, but they have found that you were overdrafted based on, like, public records, right? But they don't have the physical records to send you, which is a legal reason and legal basis for them to have to remove it as a result of your challenge, which is why a lot of these reports may contain accurate information. They may not be able to be validated, which is why I say, like, the burden of proof is on him and it's not on you, and that's important. Talk about LexisNexis though, um, I'll show this letter again, but, like, I have a whole entire dispute package just for LexisNexis because it's a lot of specific information that I want you guys to be aware of and be able to dispute, but I'll do that next live, okay? Because 'Cause I'm about to end this tonight, because I really wanted to focus on, like, the banking report. And just as a reminder, these are the banking reports that you need to be aware of. So, these are all of your specialty banking reports that are affecting your credit applications that are probably the reason why you can't get a credit limit increase, credit card or any lending. This is these banks are probably the reason why. I mean, these companies are probably the reason why. You should be able to go to their websites to request your report, but some will for you to call them. So I included, all of their websites as well as their phone numbers. That's the first list. And then the second list is going to be the subprime specialty reports that we went over today, which is going to house all of the subprime lending that you've had in the past, and they also affect credit applications and if you are going to be approved and why. So let me go back to that list. So make sure you are getting both of these lists. So again, this is the banking reports. Can't open a bank account, all of that. These are the reports. Give you a few seconds to screenshot that. Then your subprime reports are ooh, right here. Low income and subprime reports, and it's actually what they call it, by the way. So this is anytime you've had non-prime credit. Anything that they consider low limit, low level, non-prime, it does affect how much you are being lended to. Okay. So pull these reports, and it's only three. It's Clarity Services, Core Logic, Teletrack, and then Data X or five. I'm sorry, it cut off. So Clarity Services, Core Logic, Data X, Factor Trust, Microbill. So this is specifically for subprime. So I don't care where you are in your credit journey, what your credit score is. You can have an 800 credit score and still not be able to be approved for certain products because of these reports. So do not go off because you feel like you have good credit that you don't need to do this. I'm telling you, I see it daily. Do not count on what the credit bureaus are reporting because the big 3 are only reporting very small percentage of the information to your lenders. But in addition to that, your lenders are supplementing information about you with these reports, and they're using it to make decisions. I know I'll tell you just right off the bat, all of the big companies use these. So the smaller companies, some I can't say for sure, but if you are ever dealing with American Express, Chase, Citi, um, uh, Capital One now, y'all know Capital One now owns Discover. Uh I can go down the list. Like, I literally can go on and on and on. Navy Federal has recently came out and stated that they supplement with these reports. All of the big companies use these reports, and the smaller companies, if they're not already using and pulling these reports, they will be, but most of them already are. So, again, don't think just because you got good credit that that's all you need. No, 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 no. Information is actually what matters. The information that's about you, these reports that's out about you are affecting you. So again, you can get all of your reports for free. That's a right that you have. Um, the websites are right here and their phone numbers are right here. Make sure CoreLogic, you can go get your report tonight. You literally can download it right now. Clarity Services, I believe you can download it right now tonight. One of them made me call and I just didn't call. I wanna say maybe it was Data X. I don't know. Just go to the different links to see, because I done pulled like 20 different reports last night, and I can't remember which ones allowed me to and which ones didn't. I probably should have kept a running list, but download these reports to see. It's better to have the reports and them not have anything substantial on you and that's fine, than to not know that these reports are affecting you and you just have no idea. Like, you literally are just constantly trying to change and move around things on your credit report thinking that that's the reason why that you are not being approved whole time. It's these reports. It's these reports. If you are, challenging your credit report in terms of collections, inquiries, any credit report disputes from the big 3, then you're gonna wanna pull these supplementary reports because most of the information that's being validated with the credit bureaus are based on these reports, especially, like, personal information. A Novus is big on I mean, LexisNexis is really big on verifying our personal information and our public records. on our credit reports. So if you're fighting bankruptcies, child support, and other public records, it's going to be based on what LexisNexis has in their reports. So challenge those reports first before you challenge the big 3. When it comes to credit increase, uh, you probably not gonna get the credit bureaus to agree to remove your increase for the most part unless you challenge a novice first, okay? That's usually where they house that information and all of that. So yeah. So the next time we are going to discuss LexisNexis in just much greater detail because they just deserve a live of their own. Then I'll be able to like show you guys sample reports. Maybe I'll try to download and like redact all of my personal information from my report. Try to find my old one just so I can literally show you guys like look how much information that they have, how much it was versus now. So I'll try to work on that. Um, and so we can really get into LexisNexis, 'cause I've never really had a live where we actually went through the LexisNexis report section by section and, like, went through and say, like, "Look, this is the issue. This is the red flag to lenders. Therefore, if you have this, you need to dispute it." So, literally, Imma make it my business tomorrow, all day tomorrow, to go through all 168 pages of my most recent LexisNexis report to redact, sensitive information or whatever. Just so because that honestly, LexisNexis is one of those companies where it's like I can talk about them until my face turns blue, but until you guys see the amount of information that they have, it won't hit the same. Like, it really won't. Because like, if you ever think that any company knows anything about you, it's going to be LexisNexis. Every single company that in social media site and every entity that knows anything about you in this world, it is probably because of LexisNexis, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that. They actually keep all of your social media records, supply them to your employer. They keep all of your everything, like, they keep everything. So, I am actually excited about going through that report with you guys, but child, it's some redacting that I have to do because they just have that much information. Um, and then maybe if I have time with the LexisNexis Live, I wanted to specifically show you guys, something with the Experian report, but it was I'll just say that 'cause there's no point in, like, getting half into it right now. So, make sure you guys are, subscribed or, like, following me on whatever platform that you're watching me on now because y'all know, like, I'll randomly go live and, like, the timing. So, make sure you are following me so that you are notified and alerted that when I go live. If you are in Credit Academy, you guys should receive a notification on your phone when I go live. But if you want to where's my mouse? If you want to join our Credit Academy community, you're always welcome to. Just go to, member.road750.net to join Credit Academy. You get a copy of every presentation, but also, like, all of the letters and stuff that I show you guys, plus way more letters than what I ever show on live. You guys will be able to download it, and have it for yourself. Also, we have other parts of the community in which I probably should have shown you guys. But yeah, make sure you join us. And we're not on a social media site, which is my personal favorite part about it, because I love being able to, just talk to you guys and we're not dependent and beholden to like a social network, right? Where is it? I don't know where it went. It didn't disappear, child. All right. Well, I won't be able to show you guys that tonight because it disappeared. So whatever. All right. So, any questions really quick before I get off of here? What what the heck? I did the online request for LexisNexis and didn't receive my full file disclosure, so I sent a letter to them, and it was sent back as a return to sender. Anyone else having this issue? What address did you use? I will check and see if they updated their address. Or actually, I would just call them, honestly, because when I called them, they were able to, like, help me to get access to it immediately, like, over the phone. They gave me, like, a code, I put it in, and yeah. So I will call them. I will call them. Um, when you do it yourself, it causes the emotional reaction of reliving the bad decision that got me here. Understandable, understandable, but what I will say is when we avoid that feeling, then we don't actually learn. We don't actually learn. But when we, like, just tackle it head on, deal with it, that's when we're free, like, literally. We're not bound to it anymore, and also, when it comes to credit, none of us knew what the heck we was doing at first. We all didn't dealt with credit, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just think we should stop making our credit and financial decisions so perfect. I feel like we just, like, will allow that to be a mirror to what we feel like our character is, and it's just like the reality of the situation is we're all new, like, it's not like credit didn't become widespread until the like, literally, you know? So our parents didn't know what they were doing, therefore, our generation, the millennials rather, were the first generation to really start to understand credit, therefore, the generations after us, they have a lot more information about it. So, like, we are all coming from getting it out the mud, figuring it out. So I just will not judge myself and allow past mistakes to, like, make me feel like I'm, like, reliving no, it's just something that we do, and now that we have the information to fix it, just fix it. Like, just don't make it that personal, like, truly. I know it probably sounds easier said than done, but, like, you really just have to start looking at these like, "Oh, well. Oh, well. Didn't know, now I know. So, hey, let me correct it. Let me fix it going forward." And that's the great thing about credit, though, you know? It's a lot of bad things about credit, but the great thing is, you are not you are don't hear what I'm not saying. So, when I say you're not judged by your past, you're only judged by what you're doing now. What I mean is, like, the only time that your past bad credit or bad credit decisions affect you is if you're not doing better now. Like, literally, that's when it comes to credit, it's not your credit history that matters. It is what you're doing actively now, and based on what you're doing now, what they can predict that you will do in the future. That's it. That's it. Like, so don't trip on, like, past collections and charge off. Yes, like, there's the time and place that you can deal with those, but if you're actively building credit, that's actually what's gonna move the totem pole. Like, that's what's gonna get you credit. That's what's going to, increase your borrowing power, lower your risk score, what you're doing now. So, honestly, like, your lenders don't even care about it as much as we care about it. Like, if especially if it's over 2 years old, they don't give a damn. The only time they care is if you're not actively building credit now. Now, if they can't look at your credit report and see that you learned from your past and you're doing better now, then they gotta look at your old records and be like, "Oh, they had the collection charge off in the past, and because we don't have any evidence of them understanding credit now or knowing how to do better now, then we can only go off the past." So the only wrong move is not moving forward, like, when it comes to credit. Don't trip on your past because your creditor's not. I promise you they're not. They're not. Alright, so I am going to end it right here because it's about to be midnight. But Imma end it here, and I am gonna do my best to redact my LexisNexis report to in time for a live tomorrow evening, okay? Um, Make sure you follow me on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, wherever you follow me, child. But yeah, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. I hope you guys have an amazing night. I'm sleepy. I hope you get some amazing sleep. I pray to God you get some amazing sleep. Yeah, I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.